Hari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Balabha Girīfriend Jaya Gopijana Balabha Girīfriend Jaya Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Bāṇachari Yamuna Tira Bāṇachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Balabha Girīfriend Jaya Jaya Gopijana Balabha Girīfriend Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Bāṇachari Yamuna Tira Bāṇachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvatakacharya Asatara Satyasisi Maharaj's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glories of Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 62, We're doing text 12 through 16, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. So I'll just say these first three verses in the translation, and then we'll do 16 together. Bāṇasya mantrī kumbhāṇḍaś Chitralekha tat-sutā sakhī apṛcchat sakhīm ūṣāṁ kautūhala-samanvitā. Bāṇasura had a minister named Kumbhāṇḍa, whose daughter was Citralekha. A companion of Usha's, she was filled with curiosity, and thus she inquired from her friend. That's natural between young girls. Text 13. Kam tvaṁ mṛgayase su-bhru kīdṛśas te manorathaḥ hasta-grāhaṁ te dyāpi rajaputri upālaksahye. Translation: Chitralekha said, "Who were you searching for, O fine-browed one? What is the hankering you're feeling? Until now, O princess, I haven't seen any man take your hand in marriage." Text 14. Drishya kaschin nara svapne syama kamala lochanaha pitavasa brihad bahur yositam hridayam gamaha. Usha said, "In my dream, I saw a certain man who had dark blue complexion, lotus eyes, yellow garments, and mighty arms. He was the kind who touches women's hearts." Text 15. Tammaham mṛgaya kantam payayitva daram vadhu gvapi yata sprihayatim sheep tvaṁ brijyanar nave. Text 15. It is that lover I search for. After making me drink the honey of his lips, he has gone elsewhere, and thus he has thrown me, hankering fervently for him, into the ocean of distress. So 16. We can repeat this. Citralekha vacha vyasanam te pakarsami trilokyam yadi bhavyate tam anesye varam yaste manorathaḥ tam adisha. Citralekha vacha vyasanam te pakarsami trilokyam yadi bhavyate tam anasye varam yaste manorathaḥ tam adisha. Citralekha vacha vyasanam te pakarasami trilokyam yadi bhavyate tam anesye varam yaste manorathaḥ tam adisha. Citralekha vacha trilokyam yadi bhavyate tamane bhavedam yaste manorathaḥ tam adisha. Citralekha vacha Vyasanam te pukarshami Trilokam yadi bhavyate Citralekha vacha yadi bhavyate Kamanesye varam yaste manorathaḥ tamadisha. Ladies, Citralekha vacha Kamanasye varam yaste manorathaḥ tamadisha. Citralekha uvacha. Citralekha said, Vyasanam, distress. Te, your. Apṛcchat, I will take away. Trilokyam, within the three worlds. Yadi, if. Bhavyate, he is to be found. Tam, him. Anesye, I will bring. Varam, husband to be. Yaha, who. Te, your. Manaha, of the heart. Harta, the thief. Tam, him. Adisha, please point out. Translation and purport. Translation. Citralekha said, I will remove your distress. If he is to be found anywhere in the three worlds, I will bring this future husband of yours who has stolen your heart. Please show me who he is. Purport. Interestingly, the same Citralekha indicates a person skilled in the art of drawing or painting. Chitra means excellent or variegated, and lekha means the art of drawing or painting. Citralekha, as described in the following verse, will now utilize the talent indicated by her name. Mṛgayase gananjana salakaya chaksulanmilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayavrupa Kadamayam Datati Svapatandikam Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So there was one thing actually yesterday, or was it the day before, Balaram Jayanti. There was one thing I wanted to say. It's one of my favorite sentences from Srila Prabhupada, and it's not in his books. It's in a letter to one of his disciples back in 1970. She asked, what color is Balaram? You should all know this by heart, but I'm reading it so I don't. Regarding the color of Balaramji, he is colored like milk white with a little bluish tint and rosy luster. Our idea of whiteness is of milk foam. So that's it. Just in 2 sentences, he describes the complexion of Lord Balaram. Not just white. What's he say? White with a little bluish tint and rosy pink. This is the color of Balaram. The whitish like milk foam. So I just was eager to say that in class the other day. Because when we see Balaram, you can see all that right there. Those colors are there, right? He sees them all the time, paints them. Yes. And of course, Krishna Balaram Mandir. You know, Prabhupada was special. Brahmananda is described. Prabhupada is described. Various reasons. And as Srila Prabhupada would do that, sometimes he would give a little esoteric reason, and he also gave an exoteric reason. There was no Krishna Balaram Mandir anywhere. He made Krishna Balaram Mandir. That was a simple way. These chapters are very, very nice. Young Gopi, so protected. Even seeing was not possible. Even to see her, she was protected. All the young girls were protected. Prabhupada speaks about this even in his time, how much different culture was. You can see her, maximum amount of protection is there. No question, mingling young boys and young girls. And that was in Los Angeles. Prabhupada was looking out his window. Los Angeles, he would look out his window in the streets. In the USA, the streets are not very busy. You can look out your window there and not see any people. Unlike here in India, wherever you look, you see someone. But they're not like that. But Prabhupada, he would look out the window. You know, Los Angeles, different things were there. Karate studio. Prabhupada was very tolerant. All day long, that's all you heard, coming from 2 doors down. There was the karate studio, and then there was the laundromat. We made the person that owned the laundromat a millionaire, because the devotees in Los Angeles, all their clothes they would wash at the laundromat every day. A lot of quarters they would put into the thing every day. But next to the laundromat was the kung fu studios. All day, hut, hut. And then the students, hut. You'd hear a dozen of them, hut, hut, hut. It's always going hut. Because he couldn't do anything. If it was coming from the temple, Prabhupada would have stopped it immediately. But he couldn't do anything. So he just tolerated it. It was just there through the day. But fortunately, not during his translating time. But looking out the window, he would see different things at different times. And then sometimes he would call me in just to talk about the observation, what he had seen. So the one time he saw 2 teenagers, teenage boy and girl, talking. Just a boy and girl talking. And Prabhupada was looking, and he looked at me, he said, "Just see." He says he's talking to the girl. And Prabhupada imagined what he was saying, you know. You want to go out, you want to do this, we can go out, do this, do that. He said, we had the same desires. He said, when we were children. This is 1970, and he was talking about 1900. He said, the same desires were there, just like we see here. She had a dream, the perfect person, her future husband. She just had a dream about him. And Prabhupada said these desires were there, but we could never say anything. You couldn't even approach a girl. This is what's being described here. Imagine 5,000 years ago, before Kali Yuga took place. Imagine the secrecy, the protection that was afforded. And Citralekha, of course, was described, she had mystic powers. She had actual mystic powers. Prabhupada would make fun of mystic powers because he said it's nothing more than practice. Here in Radha Damodar Temple, that's where I learned monkeys had mystic powers. Prabhupada said they had mystic powers. Prabhupada was giving darshan in the evening, Radha Damodar Temple, and one little widows, they admired Prabhupada. When he came to Vrindavan, they would also come. Not just his disciples. Sometimes you would see widows coming. And she brought a little handful of bananas. A simple offering. Something we need to learn. Simple offering, huh? She had nothing, but she brought Srila Prabhupada some bananas. So she put them there. So a minute goes by, and monkey opened the door. We just opened the screen door, grabbed the bananas, and was gone. Not even 10 seconds did the whole thing. Prabhupada said, mystic power. He said, you can't do that. And they can do it. It's mystic power. But by doing it, he was downplaying all these mystic powers. Now you see, you go on social media, you can see how all these tricks are done. All these tricks, can't see how they're done. Now they're showing the public how everything gets done, all these tricks. But you have the yogis here, their long hair and beard, they do the same silly tricks. And followers, immediately followers. But she had real mystic powers. Imagine. She went to Dwarka. What did she do? She kidnapped Aniruddha. This kidnapping business, this goes on. It goes way, way back. Krishna was kidnapping. Everybody's kidnapping in Srimad Bhagavatam. She kidnapped him. He wasn't upset. Sometimes it's just like, hey, you can get kidnapped. Be very happy you got kidnapped. So she brought him. She brought him to Usha. That was it. Finished. That's what Prabhupada said. It's young boy, young girl. Finished. Some of us, we've understand this. We're old enough to know how this goes. The Prabhupada said, not even can't say it. He said, my mother. So now his mother, now she's 30 years old or whatever. He said she would visit her neighbor on the other side of the street, not a different street. She would go to visit her neighbor on the other side of the street, and they would have to send a carriage. She couldn't walk across the street. Imagine trying to implement such standards, huh? That's why Prabhupada said he was very liberal. He was very liberal. But he saw, when he came to the West, men and women freely mixing. And despite that he was a sannyasi, he was also founder Acharya of ISKCON. He had no choice. He got involved in marrying his young disciples. Only one purpose. I see more and more. Prabhupada would do anything for this preaching business to go on. Do anything, see the preaching goes on. So he married young boys and girls. Somehow or other he got to marry. You marry her, okay. He even, with Malati, Shyamasundar, there was a young girl, 16 years old. Malati just told us this story. We were in Toronto, Canada. We were in Canada together at a festival. So she was telling stories about Lord Jagannath, how Lord Jagannath worship was established, and so many instructions Srila Prabhupada gave her. Was really sitting and listened to her. I realized how little I knew. So much in the beginning, early instructions he had given, how to take care of the deities, how to do everything. But then there was a girl, she was 16 years old. And she had she was coming to the temple. but she had no guardians, apparently. Prabhupada told Malati, adopt her. She went out the very day, filled out adoption papers, didn't think twice. Prabhupada said, you do this, she did it. Right? This is how it was. Prabhupada said, you marry this boy, you marry, that's what they did. Didn't think twice. Whatever Prabhupada wants, that's what we're going to do. That's what ISKCON is. We used to toss that around some years ago. I don't hear it so much anymore. What would Prabhupada do? You know, what would Prabhupada say? Back in even 20, 30 years ago, that was a big thing, you know, because you had to see which you were going to go this way. Prabhupada, his instructions, there's other instructions. What are we going to do? So that was the vanguard. What would Prabhupada do? Krishna consciousness, they say, being with Srila Prabhupada, you learned the gold standard of what it meant to be a devotee, what it meant to be surrendered. You know, just like me and one before me, I was with Prabhupada for 16 months. And then on my own, of course, without any temple authority, I was going to get married. The girl was there. I don't know, maybe dreams were there, I don't know. But anyway, the GBC, he suggested one girl. But of course I didn't do that. Prabhupada stayed out of it. He stayed out of it because he understood his disciple. He understood, he's going to do this or he's not going to do this. So what to do? I always tell, while I was brahmachari, I was with Prabhupada for a year, giving him massage. And a letter came in, the devotee, he was temple president. And in this one letter, this one-page letter, he told Prabhupada he wanted to get divorced. And then in the same letter, he already told Prabhupada he was going to marry this devotee girl. And I'm massaging Prabhupada, and of course, I heard the word divorce. We heard that word many, many times. Prabhupada got us married, but he never considered separation. Never considered separation. And if you separate, that's it, finished. No more. No more marriage. Separated, that's okay, you separated. But he never considered divorce. But his secretary read the letter to him. And said, Prabhupada, I want to get divorced, I want to marry this girl. Prabhupada said, tell him it's all right. I was shocked. Look in the books, look in his letters, his conversations. He never said such a thing. And me, I was young and foolish and had no idea what laid ahead for me. At 21 years old, I had no idea what was ahead. But I heard that and I thought, oh, that's not Prabhupada, that's not his philosophy. And it stayed with me all day. I just heard Prabhupada saying it's okay. And I had to ask him. I never asked Prabhupada anything. Hardly ever. But I got to ask him. And I don't know when. It went all the way to the evening massage, 10 o'clock at night. And Prabhupada's lying in bed. And I'm massaging his legs, massaging his feet. He's very peaceful. But it was the end of the day. And so I said, Prabhupada. He just, I said, today you received that letter from the devotee. Said he wanted to get divorced and remarried. I couldn't get in another word. Prabhupada said, yes, I told him it was okay. I was prepared for all of Prabhupada's answers. I had a method for when I spoke to Prabhupada. I had to know what I was going to say exactly, Then I had to be prepared for his answers, A, B, C, D, depending if he says this, then I would have a response to that if need be. So I was ready. So he said that, and I said, yes, Prabhupada. I said, but divorce, you say never, divorce, not possible. He said, yes. He said, well, in your country, he says, this is going on. In your country, in the West, he said, this is going on. And I was ready for that. I said, yes, so is meat eating, intoxication. It's all going on, but those are our rules and regulations. And then he changed. His voice changed. And he said, if I tell him no, he said, he's still going to do it. So if I say it's okay, he said, the offense is not as great. This was Prabhupada's business. Still Prabhupada's business for all of us. Somehow or other, you just have to do service. You know, service is everything. Service. So I left Prabhupada at that time in Los Angeles. And he called me in his room. He was very kind. He gave me 2 rings for each of us. He gave him a ring for each of us. And he said, so you're going to go to New Vrindavan? Kirtanananda wants you to go to New Vrindavan. He didn't say you should go to New Vrindavan. Again, he understood how to engage his disciples all the time, 100% of the time. He knew if he could chastise you strongly. He knew if he could raise his voice. He knew if he couldn't raise his voice. He always knew what to do. He always knew how to push. He knew he made sannyasis that were not going to last long. But he knew by making them, for whatever period they were following that ashram, they had potency, more potency. He gave them the potency. He said, I knew they're going to fall down. I was there once when he was asked. When one Indian man in Bhaktivedanta Manor said, Prabhupada, you've made all these sannyasis. So many, they're falling down. It was happening when Prabhupada was here. He witnessed. Prabhupada said, yes. He said, the ends justifies the means. His end was preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. And who was ever ready to help him, under whatever condition they were prepared to help, he accepted it. He accepted that help. But in whatever ashram we were in at that time, in the 70s, he expected that we would fully surrender. It didn't matter, you sannyasi. You can see the letters to his grahasta disciples. You're more than a sannyasi. He said, you're married and you're following the regulative principles with beautiful wife. He said, you're more than a sannyasi. Always encouraged at every point. I was away for 8 months. I was away for 8 months. After 6 months, my wife, she was pregnant. I was back in New Vrindavan. Prabhupada's servant left after 6 months, his latest servant. So Brahmananda brought me back into the fold. Do you want to be Prabhupada's servant? Yes. Even we were coming to India. We were coming to this. We were coming here, 1974, August. That's where we were headed. So I came. All Prabhupada wanted me to do, just do your service. You know what to do, just do it. He never once asked me about my family life. Not once. Didn't say, what was it like while you were gone? Because he knew what it was like. He told me before I got married. He warned me. As a brahmachari. Brought him his lunch. Offered obeisances. While I'm offering obeisances, he said, being brahmachari is austerity. being a grahasta is an austerity. You just decide what austerity you're prepared to follow. That's all he said, and then he started eating. Who could be so fortunate? Go there for 10 seconds and you get everything you need to know, just in one sentence. Just like Color of Balaram. One sentence, so beautiful. Every word. Every word. That's all he said. He dropped it. He knows what I didn't know. He knew what was lying ahead for me. The next day I go in with his plate, I put it on the table, I offer obeisances. He said it was more difficult managing my family than managing ISKCON. That was 10 more seconds. 20 seconds. He warned me. I got to see what managing ISKCON was like from his position. Wasn't easy. Wasn't easy. But I think his disciples, he said, at least he would tell us what to do. Even we couldn't do it properly, at least we tried to do it. He would say sometimes his wife put up a fight. We know that, put up a fight. But he was also perfect grahasta. Before he left, he made sure his wife had a flat for the rest of her life. And then it would go back to ISKCON. Everything he did was exceptional. Everything he did was perfect. Not that he gave it to the family. No, it was ISKCON's. But she got to stay in it peacefully for the remainder of his life. That's how he did things, Prabhupada. But then it was more difficult to be with him as a grahasta, married. It was difficult. Service was the same. And I did everything the same. But I was always thinking of part-time. Grahasta became part-time. So I was thinking I have to spend time with my family, who just happened to be in Hawaii. And I told you, but Prabhupada, he expected surrender. Of course, according to your capacity, he accepted it. But he expected surrender. Just do what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted. And as grahastas, we got to see that over and over again. We had our business. He traveled. I traveled. Shama Sundar Prajumna. Me, grahasta, grahasta, grahasta. He had the families were set up in Los Angeles. You just did your service. And then, after we got here, I became very ill. After Prabhupada became ill, he sent me ahead to Hawaii. I went ahead to Hawaii with Brahmananda. The two of us went there. He went there to try to sort out temple problems that were going on. The restaurant was a problem. Who owned the restaurant? So he sent Brahmananda and I. We were on the plane, Brahmananda and I. Remember, we were on a big 747 and we were both ready to leave India. Both of us were. But then we were on the plane. Brahmananda looked at me. He said, "What did we do? We just left Prabhupada." You know? So how crazy was that? Prabhupada came there a few weeks later. So many things happened. And I was cooking and I was giving him massage. But that was all. I wasn't even there all day. I had this entanglement, a family life. So then Prabhupada was leaving in a day. And he didn't have a full-time servant because I had just backed away. So then I got the call the day before he left. One of many calls. I went in the office and Prabhupada's sitting behind his desk, and in front of the desk is Guru Kripa. That Guru Kripa. And they're smiling. I come in, I offer obeisances. Prabhupada wants to see you. So I offer obeisances and sit up. And Guru Kripa's practically, he's just laughing. And he says to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you described in the Bhagavatam, the wife in the material world. Wife she's described as witch. He said, but why are the children, they're called jackals? He's saying to Prabhupada, and I'm sitting right there. And Prabhupada laughs. Yes, he says, well, the witch, she's taking blood, sucking the blood. But the children, he said, they're like peeling the flesh off of the father. Because everything need this, need education, need this. And then Guru Kripa looks at me and says, and Prabhupada looks and says, so you're staying here in Hawaii with your family? The whole point was, you're not staying. You shouldn't stay. This was Prabhupada. He didn't tell me, you come with me. But it was enough it was enough to let me know. And he looked at me, he said, so you're coming? I said, yes, Prabhupada, I'm coming. I wasn't coming. But I was so fortunate that I had Prabhupada himself say, come, this is your duty. This other stuff, it's going on. You see that it goes on, that's okay. But this is your duty. Your duty is serving me, cooking for me, massaging, this is your duty. So then I went. We spent 3 weeks traveling. We get to Miami. After Mexico City and Caracas, Miami. Prabhupada said, we're in Miami. Prabhupada stayed in the cottage, temple president's house. And I'm carrying the bags. And I'm again thinking, Nanda Kumar is going to go to India. Prabhupada's headed to India again. I don't want to go. The fact that we're going to open Krishna Balaram Mandir, I didn't even think of anything like that. I just didn't want to be sick. So I have the bags, we go into the room. Prabhupada looks in the hallway, picture of Arjun, Krishna and Arjun, Arjun's like that. And Prabhupada, I like this painting very much. So naturally I said, why? Because I'm a fool. If I would have looked at the painting, I would have known very clearly why. What's going on there? But I was not very clear-headed. But I said, why? Which was just what Prabhupada wanted to hear. Why? He said, look at Arjun. He said he's in so much anxiety. He has his family. He has his friends. And Krishna is saying, you have to kill them. He said, Arjun, look. He said, what to speak of leaving your family? If Krishna wants, you have to kill them. He's looking right at me. He knows I'm ready to leave him. He knows I'm just going to go. He said, if Krishna wants, you have to kill them. What to speak of spending a few months away from him like it's torture. He didn't see those things. Tolerate. That was his business for you. Tolerate. You do your service. As he told me, do your service. Everything will be all right. This attraction never goes away between boy and girl, man and woman. I told you when the sannyasi said, Prabhupada, I think my wife, thinking of my wife. Prabhupada said, yes, therefore you can never see her. And he said, just last night I dreamt about my wife. Imagine Prabhupada saying that to you. He always knew exactly what to say, so you couldn't say anything else. He would have the last word, which is a good thing. You should have the last word. Our last word is yes. Yes, Prabhupada, whatever you say. We know Prabhupada said, I never had any questions from my spiritual master. Only one question, how can I serve you? But as spiritual master, he was always answered every question any devotee ever asked. Every letter, sometimes letters would have 10 questions. The only person I ever knew, he said, go back to the spiritual world, all their questions will be answered, was Ekayani, Gopal Krishna's. She would write letter after letter after letter. She was very curious, among other things. And she saw things. And she saw how Prabhupada did things, and she asked questions. But Prabhupada said, just go back to the spiritual world, all your questions will be answered. That's our business. With that, I'll stop here. Any questions? He's going back to the spiritual world, but you can ask questions here.
Krishna descended to show an example of the process which will learn to start spiritual life. And when he was kidding with Rukmini, that, I'm not really fit for you, and you should have married Shishupal, and I should leave you, and Rukmini took it for serious, and she fell down like a banyan tree blown down by the wind. And immediately he manifested his forearms, catching Rukmini, and then, taking care of her. And if you see Krishna's Dwaraka Leela, he was very loving with all his queens, all his children, his family, and took care of things very nicely. It seems like you're portraying that ISKCON's a little cold and calloused and a little bit overly renounced, and jackals and witches and all these kind of things. So how Krishna can show so much love and attention to family and children, and we're supposed to be so renounced? Why is that?
Yeah, the grahasta is supposed to appear attached and be detached. That's the goal. Although usually it's the opposite. We're attached, but we try to look detached in our ISKCON. You remember those days in ISKCON? And we were definitely once 75 rolled around. Grahastas, to walk proudly was not an easy thing. When you had people walking by spitting on the ground when they would see women, that was one of the things that spit. They're all gone. They're also all gone. So we have to be careful not to be artificial in what we do. And at the same time, like I say in my own life, Prabhupada always just wanted me to stay with him. But he knew things that I didn't know, He knew what was good for you, what wasn't good for you. And put in a few months of time in his service was certainly more important than just trying to set up a household. Because that was taken care of. He did take care. Not that he didn't take care of his secretary, of his servant, his Sanskrit editor. He took care. And of course he made it very clear that these statements were about materialistic people. He more than once the point would come up. The once was, for me it was a famous morning walk in Calcutta when I told you that temple there was no place to stay for anyone, what to speak. There were men there, there were women there. The ladies' ashram was through the bathroom, the only one bathroom to get to their ashrams. It was very complicated and not very nice. So in one of the morning walks, devotees kept pushing, sannyasi kept pushing Prabhupada, women, put them outside, They should be outside somewhere, not in the temple. This was Calcutta, this wasn't Los Angeles, this is in India, Calcutta. And Prabhupada, the walk went on, they kept pushing. Prabhupada said, and the ladies should be here, and it's too difficult, the men in the bathroom, there's only one bathroom. Imagine how difficult it was. And then when Prabhupada got back to the temple, Calcutta, he walked up the stairs and he's walking on the veranda, big veranda, Calcutta, and there's a half a dozen ladies, Matajis, all offering obeisances, the cooking for him, doing the deity worship, cleaning his room. So they're doing all of that. So they offered obeisances. So finally Prabhupada walked in, and as they were offering obeisances, he said, if you associate with these ladies, you can become Krishna conscious. So that was quite a statement to come from him. But he saw if you're having difficulty, then it's up to you to take some action. Like he said, he would, in his sarcasm, he said if the brahmacharis are agitated, they can go to the Himalayas. It was that was also Ekayani, because they wouldn't let the women chant in the temple room, chant japa in the morning. So Ekayani wrote Prabhupada, because they were always just like the men. You see the old pictures, men on one side, women on the other, and a big aisle in the middle, so Prabhupada can always see the deities. Always see. One side women, one side men. He never said anything, but things got changed. So Ekayani would write, Prabhupada, they were not letting, Prabhupada said, who's done this, He said, it's New York City. Everywhere you look, there's women, there's girls, everywhere. How can you not see? He said, if they're so agitated, they should go to the Himalayas. They can live in the Himalayas. So Prabhupada protected all of his disciples, men, women, boys, girls. He took care of all of us. He took care of me after my service. He gave me jewelry for my son when he was born.
Saying that one of the said, Prabhupada, so much Maya here, Prabhupada said, show us that place, there's no Maya, we shall all go there.
Yeah. That was in Caracas, when it was a woman who moved outside because she couldn't take living in the temple. And that's what she said to Prabhupada. Imagine, she said to Prabhupada, the devotees in the temple, they're in Maya. And Prabhupada laughed, and that's what he said. Show me the place where there's no Maya. He said, I'll go there. And then he said, you see that they're in Maya because you're in Maya. He said, I see everyone serving very sincerely. So these are things, these aren't just stories. This is devotee. This is how a devotee acts. If you don't, then you definitely have a long way to go in your devotional service. Devotee sees everyone serving Krishna nicely. Prabhupada saw everyone serving nicely, and whatever he could do to correct, he would do it. Anything else? Hare Krishna.
I've always wanted to ask this question to someone, but I know I'm going to sound very puffed up. One time in New Orleans, I went there early to rent a room so that I could make it to the Mardi Gras. So when I was sleeping at night, I had something like a dream, and Prabhupada came to me and he said, "Sure."
Yeah, having trouble.
Okay, he said, I want you to bring back all of my devotees who have gone away.
All of my what?
All of my disciples who have gone away. So I didn't, how am I going to do that? I don't even know who they are. I could think of who I am, I might be able to find out. I saw Guru Das there. He had long hair. And so I went to him and I told him the dream, but I said, but you're doing better than I am, So then I thought, well, maybe Prabhupada really meant to say, I want you to come back to me, So it still kind of haunts me. How could I possibly fulfill that desire?
Yes. He came to me, told me to take a stand. I'm still trying to figure out that. Take a stand. Working on it though. But yeah, these instructions they're eternal. I saw, I came here with mudded visa. Prabhupada was so happy to see him after he had left, and so many rumors were out there. Prabhupada got so upset. Anyone was saying anything about this person who had done so much service for him. So much service. Yeah. And Prabhupada saw me, he said, you can find your grahasta, do your service. A brahmachari, do your service. It's our business. and have respect for everyone else. Respect the others doing their service. Anything else? Raj. Well, you have to hurry. 2 minutes, you're leaving. Go ahead, Raj. No one, I guess.
Hare Krishna. Usha dreamt of somebody she'd never met or seen. How does that happen? Usha, she dreamt of somebody that she'd never seen before.
Well, she did see him.
She'd never seen him before, her dream.
Well, that was seeing him.
How can you dream of somebody that you've never seen?
Yes, in a dream, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying, how can you dream of somebody that you've never seen before?
Yes, mystic Krishna can. I hear people had dreams of Prabhupada, they never saw him. You know, I hear people more than a few times, people have dreams Prabhupada came to them who never saw him before. This person in orange robes, and I mean, it certainly is possible. And what to speak of in pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, anything's possible.
Then Aniruddha was kidnapped. Did he have a choice?
He could have fought back, I guess, but she had mystic powers. It was meant to happen. It happened in that way, but he was kidnapped. I like that word, very good word, kidnapped. Sometimes it's good. He was happy, right? From the moment he was there, he wasn't trying to leave. They were in the room there, and it became very clear that they were having conjugal relationship, because you can see it in the faces. You could see it in the face. They could see. Too happy. Nobody's that happy. Who is that happy? Only someone in love is that happy. And that's our goal. Develop that love for Krishna. That kind of love for Krishna. That's our goal.
Thank you.
All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare